Do as you will please, Cub, but me and the pack are going to keep awake till morning. Colt looked to Alpha. We need you sharp tomorrow as well as your pack. We will take turns. A wolf doesn't put their life in the hands of another. By not resting, you are going to, in the long run, not make it out of this. What if we cannot bed tomorrow? Shall you stay awake then as well? We wolves do what we must. You're not wolves. Your men have been running back and forth all day in the cold. A good leader knows when rest is needed. Alpha's eyes glared. What did you say, Cub? He said in a low growl. You heard my words. I have no need to repeat them. Snarling, Alpha looked to his pack members. Get some rest. But Alpha, I said rest. He still was in a low growl, and his men sat down in place, looking to one another. You rest too, Alpha. Colt looked to him, as Alpha gritted, Your words are stronger since you took what is mine. And your thoughts have become stronger as well. Alpha was growling deep in his throat, holding back his temper as Colt spoke again. I said sit and rest. Alpha sat in place with his wolf counterpart, and the rest of the pack eventually went to sleep. But it was so strange and creeped upon me that they all slept with their eyes open. Henry seemed to find it more amusing than me. He wanted to take first watch as a way to apologize the best way he could for his mistake. In the other corner, Colt sat next to me in the bathtub. It was tight, but at least it was warm in the small room. Colt and I knew we couldn't talk, or it would wake up the others. But his eyes were asking if I was all right, so I took his hand in mine as he touched my face. As I touched his, slightly smiling, Colt drew close as he could and held me tight through the night till he took his turn at watching. The night was silent. The room by morning smelled of wet dog, but at least we were all alive and rested. The wolves shaking off stiffness and stretching as their humans looked to Alpha. Now what? He seemed to still be irritated. We will make sure the coast is clear, then we will use the small elevator up each floor, each room, if that's what it takes. Colt was unsure, as all of us, but still determined to find Threepwood. Just then, a knock came to the door in the hallway. Who could it be? Who could have found us? Alpha glared at Henry as Henry slightly lowered his eyes. Then Alpha glared to us. Do you want me to see who it is? Manners and all that, he growled. No, it could be a test to see where we actually are. Or it could be one of ours seeking us if something happened, Henry spoke up meekly. True, was all I said, looking to Colt. Well, it seems as we should take the chance then, since that's the vote of the room. Alpha went toward the door to the bathroom, but Colt put his hand up. I'll do it. Colt opened the door slightly, looking around, then opened the bathroom door fully to go to the door where the knocking was coming from. We all followed behind him to the door. Who is it? Colt asked out just above a whisper, but no voice came. Perhaps Colt was right. Alpha stood, rolling his eyes, crossing his arms. Let's get going then. My pack can seek them out, friend or foe. I have no doubt in their capacities, Alpha, but just the same, we need to stay together. Then let's all get going. We can't stay here all day. That will blow any cover we had accomplished. Colt was irritated, but we all knew he was right. So he gave the signal he was going to open the door slightly, but then, looking all around, he opened the door fully. Looking in front, down on the tile ground, there was a cream-colored envelope with red designs upon the edges. Colt looked around again and then picked up the large envelope. On the back was a dark red wax seal. I had only seen this a few times in the past when something important was to be said between tribes. Colt looked to me after opening it. He pulled out a black piece of paper with white letters upon it. You are the best reader here. He handed me the letter as I began to read aloud. Your presence is required by the request of Dr. Threepwood for a great celebration of life. All are welcome to attend. No need for the frill of gifts, and food will be provided to all who attend, as well as accommodations. At the bottom of the page, there was a large yes and a large no. Lick yes to attend, lick no if you wish not to attend. Sincerely yours, Dr. Threepwood. Alpha snatched the letter from my hand, looking it over, smelling the paper slightly. Lick the no. Cyanide, he spat a few times. How do you know? Henry asked. I grew up learning how to stay alive. And the yes? Colt asked. Alpha smelled it, but didn't lick it. Smells different. I assume a different type of poison. Some sort of deadly trick is at play. I don't believe so, if I may interject. Henry took the letter. From what we know, Threepwood cannot harm someone unless they harm themselves for him. But in my opinion, there also has to be a way out. Choice both can't equally mean death, but that's just what I'm thinking. What do you think, Dr. Furnius? Dr. Furnius came through Henry. Let me take a look, he said out loud, examining the paper and smelling it himself, licking the no. Yes, that is definitely cyanide. Alpha just huffed as a, I told you so. The other one, however, would be tricky for most to discern, but I believe it to be propofol, diprivan, from the white color. It's slightly different, and if that's the case, I'd imagine it is a very strong sedative, somewhat harmless considering the choices. Alpha snarled, ripping the paper from his hand, trying his best to rip the paper to bits. As he growled out, "What if we choose the third choice?" But the paper would not tear or rip. I doubt the paper will burn either. The best Alpha could manage is crinkling it up as Colt ripped it from his hands. Well, it does seem we are only given one choice, and I tend to choose the one that will get me closest to Threepwood. Colt looked to me. I wish there was a different choice. I took his hand. It seems we only need the one choice we need to get to him. Alpha sneered. That's sweet and all, but it's going to get you killed one of these days, and you should know she's... Before he could say more, I took the paper and licked yes. Immediately, I started to feel dizzy. The room was sideways and spinning. Then, through the fuzz, I could feel something warm and Colt holding me. Then all was black. I awoke to warm hands holding me, but my body was cold. Blinking my eyes, I could finally see Colt, but I knew it was him by his smell alone. You all right? Yes, he helped me sit up more. Looking down at my stomach, then to Colt. The baby is all right, Vida. You should have told me earlier. I tried, but something always came up, and you were so stressed already. You shouldn't have risked licking the paper, Vida. As you said, there was no other choice. We had to take the chance, the best chance to save the baby and us. You should have stayed with the females. It was too late to join them by the time I found out. You could have gone with William. You needed me, and I wanted to be with you. Not to mention I don't like my feet off the ground, you know that. Better than this. I looked around. We were in a cell with a cement floor and bars. It was well lit. Across from us was a woman sitting to herself. That's Celia's mother, Olivia. How long have I been out? I woke up only hours ago myself, so I am uncertain. Alpha and the others? They were there when I licked the paper, so I am unsure what came of them. A tear went down my cheek. Don't cry. There's always the chance they are in other rooms, in other cells. What are we going to do? Have you seen Threepwood yet? As I said the name, the woman clenched her stomach and began to scream from across the room. That name seems to bother her. I don't know her story yet. No one has been in or out of here yet. Just then, the woman crawled into a corner as we heard footsteps coming and the door unlocking. It was Henry. Colt looked up to him. Henry, how did you escape? Where are the others? The keys are right there by the door. Henry looked to the keys, hushing us with his finger. He went over to the woman's cell door, unlocking it. She continued to scream and huddle in the corner. It's all right, Colt spoke to her, but she would not listen. Henry pulled from his pocket a needle. Henry, what are you doing? But again he was hushing Colt, grabbing the woman's arm. She held perfectly still and stopped screaming as he injected a liquid into her arm. Then he patted her head and reshut the cell, locking it back. Then he went over to a sink and washed his hands with soap. Colt no longer spoke, only helping me to my feet. What was going on? My mind was still fuzzy. Henry turned, smiling at us, but the voice that came was that of Furnius, not Henry. Good, you both are awake. How are we both feeling? I imagine pretty weak in the legs. It's you, that's what Mila meant. You didn't take over Furnius's body, you used Henry as Furnius, so where's Furnius then? Colt spat. Furnius is good and dead, always was. Never had use of the body after all. The man was nearing 100. But young Henry here, well, he had enough memories of Furnius to share unknowingly, of course, so I was able to easily keep up the ruse. After all, I am a doctor myself. All I had to do was keep the Dr. Gargan and talk sweetly, and no one was the wiser, not even Henry. No lying was needed. I should have figured it out, Colt interjected. Colt was gritting his teeth. Now then, mind your manner. Tomorrow we celebrate. What happened to the others? Don't you remember, Colt? Alpha licked no once he saw you go down with your love here. He took control. All licked no except poor Henry here. Oh, how he wanted to help you then and actually still does. But I'm in control now. Full control. All he can do is wait, and that's for the better. As for your wolf friends, well, Alpha and the others I allowed to leave. Last I knew of them, they were leaving the town, probably to go get the others to come help. But little does he know, I have a few more tricks up my sleeve, waiting for the others, and the best part is it is by their choices. My greatest regret is not being able to see it myself, but I have more important things to attend to. Threepwood looked over to the woman, now asleep, reopening her cell. He took her in his arms and walked out the door as it locked behind him. All we could hear were the footsteps fading away,